this rise in socialism?
Yeah, in fact, I think, I wrote an article a long time ago called Why I Fear the Future, and I did a video based on it, in which I talked about something. It's interesting. I did a live show here in London just before Christmas, and I did a book signing, and one of the guys came up to me and he said, I've got two kids. They're both teenagers, daughter and a son, and I'm trying to pull the daughter in from the far left, and I'm trying to pull the son in from the far right. That's going to be the big challenge going forward, because the amount of chaos and instability and cultural upheaval that we've seen has produced a craving for order. And on the social, that's the right side. We must, get this. And on the other side, it's produced a sense of injustice and the pursuit of inequality. That's why you hear people talk so much about the rich, the rich, the rich, the rich. And, we eat the rich, we've got to redistribute all of this stuff, because particularly in the big cities, young people rightly feel that they can't really get on the housing ladder. They can't establish a family. Life is more difficult. So they reach for these very, disproven, discredited and completely unworkable solutions of the kind Mamdani will of course deliver. But it's because their sense is that the future has been taken away from them. And in many ways, they're correct. Because, as I said earlier, we have been borrowing from our children and our grandchildren. We've been saddling with crippling debts on the entire economy. That will come to an end. And it's going to be them that is left to foot the bill. And it's going to be very painful. And partly they see that. And already they see that they just can't afford the life that they want. I do think in the United States, it's a much more contained phenomenon. I think Mamdani, and if you look at sort of the American socialists, they all tend to cluster around New York and one or two other big cities. It's not like the entirety of America is going socialist. But I think housing unaffordability is one. Another explanation, which I think is also powerful, is what's called elite overproduction, which is if you have, as Tony Blair did, this idea that 50% of the public should go to university. Well, they do, and then it turns out there's not enough jobs for them, particularly in the age of AI, where they are the jobs that are being eliminated very rapidly. You then get a lot of people whose entitlement is up here and whose prospects are down here. That produces